You are now tuned into the Big Dawg Shyt podcast with your host, George Tucker. Black Card Bully Cam. The Big Dawg Shyt podcast. Black Card Bully Cam. Get ready for the Big Dawg Shyt podcast with your host, George Tucker.
The Big Dawg Shyt podcast. We about to put you up on this dog game.
Welcome to another episode of your favorite exotic bully platform, Big Dawg Shyt, and I'm your host, George Tucker. Well, let's just dive right in. I mean, tonight I'd love to do a nice little recap of the weekend we had in Dallas with June Williams and his show, the Rumble in the Jungle. And for those of you all that have not had an opportunity to attend the Rumble in the Jungle, it depends on whether you're trying to get into the dogs or you just like seeing dogs, or more importantly, for those of you all that consider yourself serious breeders, have an opportunity to go and compare your dogs to other people who figure they have nice dogs. It's an unbelievable weekend of actually seeing really nice dogs. And also, you have the opportunity to see and sometimes collaborate with other breeders. I mean, because some of the biggest breeders in the world are there. It depends on what type of breed you're dealing with. I mean, we're accustomed to having exotic bullies, English Bulldogs, and Frenchies at the shows that we attend. That's most often what we see. But with the show that June does, he has all kinds of stuff there. The Rumble in the Jungle, you run across iguanas, you run across monkeys. I didn't see a kangaroo, but I've heard that on some other occasions there are kangaroos there. Snakes. I mean, it's not my thing. But the jungle also means this is where you get to see some of the most extreme and exotic dogs. There was some stack-offs going on all over the place, and I got an opportunity to see some people that are going in the direction that I'd like to go. And it's just good to see how serious some people are about making their blood better. Of course, I had old Botox out there. I had one of his daughters with him. And I was happy to see some stuff that people had bred from some of Botox's. I saw some of his offsprings as well as some offsprings off his offsprings. This Rumble in the Jungle, man, I mean, I literally believed it had to be thousands of people there. The venue was great. It wasn't hot. Sometimes you go in these venues, they're hot. Sometimes you go in there, you have to leave or you want to leave because it's just so unsanitary because of people failing to clean up behind their dogs. He did a great job of making sure that you didn't get disgusted or repulsed from dog mess. So I think if I had to give it a grade, I mean, everything could always be better, but just based on what I saw, I'd probably give it a B. Yeah. The only reason I said that is because I hadn't seen an A yet, but I guess you would say based on what I've seen, it's the best that I've been in. It's right there with the best that I've been involved with. So if it's based on experiences and prior shows, I'd say a B. I mean, an A, but if you're talking about what you think could be done a little differently, I'd have to give it a B. It was some of it started a little slow, but late in the afternoon, it got thick, really thick in there. And I actually was able to see some stuff that I think I might want to add to my program. Now, as for what I was able to also see, I had a new stud, Bully. I named him Bull. I mean, because he's my first stud of my Belicious line. And I like him myself, but I think it's a good place to go and see and test the waters and see how the public receives him is definitely Rumble in the Jungle. And I think we got a good reception of him. He's a grandson of Belicious, but he's a son of Fortune 500 from Untamed Exotics. And he was bred to my double bred Bape daughter that produced a pretty exotic, pretty representative dog. If you were going to picture a Bape, a double bred Bape to a triple bred Belicious dog. Well, he's double bred Belicious, triple bred Versace, because he's Belicious bred back to Versace. Fortune 500. So, and I was sort of wanting to see if the market, because I hadn't tested the market in a while as it relates to bullies. I know what I've been watching, because right now it seems like a lot of the market has moved toward the crown look, I forgot the other dog's name, that Merle dog, that the same guy that owned what was his name? Punch. Yeah. Yeah, I think the same guy that owned Punch. Same guy that owned Punch on a Merle. I mean, so I see the market moving in that direction. But I wanted to see if there was still a huge demand for that true Belicious look, that true Versace look, that hybrid Bape look, because about 3 to 4 years ago, it was as hot as fish grease. So, but I did get a chance to check the pulse of the game, and I like the fact that there are still people that, like myself, love that look. Like I said on my previous podcast, I like a combination of the best of all of it. I like the Miyagi. I like the Dax. I like the Bullseye. And if you get it all mixed up right, depends on how heavy you like whichever trait. I think you have a pretty well-rounded dog that'll stand the test of time as it relates to production. So that was a plus for me. So now I think I have a few dogs in heat. I'm about to go in and take him and start putting him to work. Because up until now, the fact that I've been focusing so heavily on Frenchies, I hadn't had an opportunity or hadn't had a time to give him his just due. So starting now, I'm about to open my boy up. I have him on my page. If you go to Black Card 55, you'll see a little video I posted after the show of Bull. That's what I call him. But I'm opening him up, and we're about to start working him. I got a few dogs I'm going to breed him to in the next month or so, and let's get him running. And, of course, I definitely am still happy to see all of the positive feedback I get about Botox. And I'm about to get him working again in the camp. Over the next 2 or 3 months, you're going to see some really crazy stuff happen with the Botox, who is, in my opinion, one of the more consistent game changers when you start talking about exotic features. Consistently passed on exotic features. I mean, it's not just the rope; it's the It's the flat face. Meaning the very short or no muzzle at all. Not every puppy, but a large majority of his puppies either have flat faces or very small muzzles. He does a good job of shrinking them down. I have a few right now that I wanted to make sure I kept before I started making claims of him shrinking dogs. I kept a representative number of dogs to see from litters how many of them would be shrunk, how many of them would not take on his trait that he passes because he's one of those that outproduces himself in every litter. There are always going to be puppies in that litter that look as good as Botox's best traits and look better than some of his other traits. And that's in every litter. So he outproduces himself in every litter, especially the exotic look where you may have 1/4 eye that's white or glass or whatever. And then you may have half of the other eye that's glass. So I really like those exotic traits. And the way he shrinks them, it gives him these big old, because he has a big head, and he does the good job of keeping the overdone rope, passing on the overdone rope. So this is going to be a good year for us over at Black Card, man. This get these studs firing. I just been sitting back, actually looking at my production, and I'm quite pleased with what I'm seeing. And I'm also keeping an eye on what else is being hot. I'm looking at the DNA thing. I think the DNA has just about maxed out. I mean, I guess now they're coming out with new, I don't know if you call it a new DNA or a whole new dog, a flutal, but I'm definitely not into that. I say yet. I mean, it probably never, but just looking at it now, it doesn't really do anything for me. Not to say that they won't make money with it, but that's one I'm probably going to steer clear of. The pink, it's coming, but it's still got a whole lot further to go than it's already come. And all these other variations of DNA, this C2 gene and the Fluffies and the Isabellas, and all of these come with some physical traits that may tend to take you a step or two backwards if you don't go to the right dogs, or if you don't go to the right people with the dogs, because a lot of this stuff could be just promotion, could best be an attempt to make sure they're still making money and not really making a difference, not really making game changes, or not intending to, just continuing to change their situation through the game rather than coming in and being a game changer. So teach his own, but when you start talking about game changers, you have to start making sure that you're going out to these shows. I mean, especially if you live within a few hours of it. I mean, Rumble in the Jungle was about 7.5 hour ride for me, but I think it was well worth it. There's no substitute for actually having the opportunity and taking advantage of the opportunity of meeting the breeders, seeing the dogs, and comparing what you saw on the pictures to what you see on the table. And if you're then happy, then it's a good investment for you. Maybe not for the next person. But if you're happy after looking at it online, doing the research on whether you like the blood, then going and seeing the dog, and you're still happy, I think that's the best advantage, or the best method of getting into these dogs. It's a big advantage, because there's always going to be somebody who looks at what you bought and feel like you got hosed, or feel like you paid too much for money for it. That's for lack of a better term. And if you haven't confirmed with your own eyes, you start wondering if they're right. So you don't want to have buyer's remorse simply because you didn't go and do your due diligence. It happens all the time. And then are there even worse? You will have already committed to being a proponent for a certain dog, and you went out and bred to the dog. You got puppies off the dog. Then you finally see the dog at the show. You got a choice to make if you don't like the dog. You can go and be honest with yourself and say, hey, man, I'm probably going to go in a different direction with my program. Or you can do what 99% of the people do is create some fake love that you supposedly have for the dog you bred to and the dogs you're producing, while you don't even use that stud for what you're going to keep. If you take a good look at what they're doing, they may have a stud that's getting bred to hell and back. But you don't see any of the stud stuff in that program going forward. So those are telltale signs, meaning that they have a stud here, they're promoting him, but you're seeing them doing a whole lot of outside breedings. That should be a red flag. In some instances, I mean, there are some people who just like to incorporate all of the best. And if they start off with the theory of best of the best, I get it. But when they keep bragging about their stud, but they don't have stuff off the stud, then you can sort of deductively reason that they don't think they have the best of the best, but they have probably the best you can afford, and they just promote them to you. And you buy those, and they take that money and go buy what they want. And you won't notice they did until you see them introduce what they bought with your money. So just take advantage of these Rumble in the Jungles and these Go Virals and these Frenchies Only and Frenchie Bowl and all of those type shows. You want to make sure you take advantage of them, because it'll save you a lot of money, and it could make you a lot of money. But, you have to know why you're going. And another thing that's very important is plan how you're going to present yourself. Because when I first started doing this, man, I would go to the shows, and although I knew people were getting boots, I really didn't know the importance of having an idea of how you're going to present yourself. I mean, if you're just going and you're going to ride around with your little buggies, or you're going to walk around, just know that you're probably not going to make money or make connections that will actually help you to go to the next level. Now, if you're just going there because you already know what you want to do, know who you want to meet, you may not want to get a booth. But those booths are an integral part of the experience. If you are a breeder and you have your own stud and all that good stuff, because I say again that there's no substitute for what you see, irrespective of what you hear or what you're being led to believe. Put your eyes on it. It's worked out for me. If you have a good looking dog and you take him to these bigger shows, and you have your booth, you have your team, because even having a booth, it takes forever to set them up, man. I mean, so you get there, you get your booth set up, and you go in and make sure you promote your dog. But make sure you like your dog before you get there. Try to see if other people like him, because it's one thing about these shows is for you to either get exposure or for your program to get exposed. So, initially you may not even want to bring a dog. You may want to do like I did for a while, just go to see what's out there and maybe make some connections, do some networking, and continue to learn. But there are going to be shows that, that we consider the big shows that I think you may want to try to check your calendar to see can you make them. I mean, they're not going to be very close in proximity. as in time wise. You had June show in February. I mean, they're gonna have another big show in May. I mean, other than California. I mean, I'm only speaking with people in the South. It's sort of hard to plan to go to the big shows in California, and I think they're pretty regular out there, maybe once a month or so. There's some either the bully kind of Frenchies with the Grinch and that kind of stuff, Dr. Seuss dogs, that kind of bully Frenchie. Those are pretty often. And then you have the exotic shows where I see those, but it's very seldom I hear people from down south talking about going. So for down south, which is Texas, Louisiana, all of these southern states, Georgia, Texas, Florida, Louisiana. I don't know of many other southern states that have a true presence in the Frenchie breeding game. There may be others. I'm not too familiar with them, but definitely those. And it's imperative that you get to these shows. So there are going to be but a few big ones down here. And I think I pencil in there being about 6 big ones. I don't mean, nice ones. There are probably a lot of nice ones, but there are some that attract the bigger breeders. And the first one we just had the first one was Only Frenchies. I think that's one in California, even though I said not Cali. That's one of those Cali shows that breeders come all over the country that I know of. I mean, there may be plenty of them, but I know of those that show that Only Frenchies show, Only Frenchies show. Then there's June's show. Then there's Go Viral. Then there's what is it? Frenchie Bowl. And those are the ones I can think of right now. There was another one on the tip of my tongue. But you want to try to get into those shows. Promote your brand. Promote your stud. Promote your blood. I think that's what you go to a show like June's show for. I even saw some stud opportunities out there that some of the bigger breeders had some new dogs out there. So I just look back and I feel like that if you're going to get serious with this, you need to get your show presence. I went out to, Ovi Graphics and bought me some boots. I bought some boot setups. I bought 10 by 20s so that I could make sure that I was able to take advantage of the bigger shows, putting the big tents up, and the smaller shows, some of the local shows or regional shows or area shows, just to have a presence there. So, just make sure that you get the stuff that you're going to need for the long haul, and it'll all take care of itself. It'll be worth its weight, not necessarily in gold, but definitely in time. You'll be able to present the image and the message that you want to send with your product. So I would definitely say get you some setups, get you a team, and get to some of these big shows. I think that June is also about to have a meet and greet in Texas. So I think that the stuff that he's doing is really helping people to promote their brands. If you show up at his shows and you put your best foot forward, you're probably going to get some traction. So I like to say shout out to June, shout out to his team, and because they seem to do a good job of working together and covering a whole lot of bases, not in a little bit of time, but it takes a long time. And even the last show, they were outside. I think the people put them out, and they were outside in the parking lot finishing up the show. So, and it looks like the people are still patient with them because of the look you get for coming to a June show and either placing or more importantly, winning. So, the thing that I hadn't had an opportunity to do is I see a lot of people getting in the ring now, and that takes a whole lot of time, a whole lot of commitment to your dog. I've tried it inadvertently, and unless you have your dog where you actually can anticipate what your dog's going to do, you probably have no idea what they're going to do when you get them out there and start trying to walk them. They won't walk. They won't stand still. You may have a great dog, but you're not going to win, especially a June show. I mean, it's about a dog being show ready more than it is about the way the dog looks. So, but if you get in the shows, you're going to get a lot of traction. If you have a good looking dog, you're probably going to take off from there. It's just so many benefits for going to these shows and embracing the opportunities, because not all dogs are ring dogs. Not all dogs are table dogs. So when you start spending your money on these VIP booths and all this good stuff, and spending your money on travel and spending your money on lodging, you'll be a lot more serious about trying to figure it out and figure out what your angle is. Because if you have a good dog, you have a good chance. If you have a good brand, you have a better chance. If you have a good dog and a good brand, you have a great chance. So much so there's no longer a chance, it's an opportunity. So you all try to take the little advice I'm giving you as it relates to these shows. Bring your dogs out. Figure out what you need to add to your program by what you see in person. And be willing to invest. Be ready to invest, because sometimes you come out a whole lot better if you go do some co-owns versus trying to own dogs outright, especially if it's your first time testing that blood. I think that one of the mistakes I made, a big mistake, was wanting to have all of something that when it was all said and done, if I was wrong, I ended up buying all or nothing rather than half of a situation where somebody may know a little more about it and they go in with me, versus me being a know-it-all and then I spend it all and I'm stuck with it all. So go out to these shows, man, get educated, and you'll definitely get motivated. And if anybody has any questions or have any comments, y'all hit me in my DM. Of course, I've said it before, but it's Black Card 55. Hit me in my DM and let's talk about it, because there are some things that I've done as it relates to these shows. I mean, not as in putting dogs in shows, but traveling all over the country to try to make sure that Botox had an opportunity to be seen, and for me to also have an opportunity to check the pulse of whether I have something special or whether I was especially foolish for buying him. So if you have your young male that you're really thinking about putting out here, don't hesitate. Take him out there and just see what the reception is, and go to as many shows as you can afford to go to, because not everybody's going to like it. Because when I first started going to the show of Botox, people were saying they were messing up the breed with this trash, and not to me, but near me, I would hear it. And I would be on lives with people, and some of the older breeders who had a little bit of success with their studs and stuff with that. Oh man, I'm not interested in that. I mean, you can have that until I had it. And then once I got traction, I look up and this whole Frenchie world is revolving around a big rope. So I know a little something about trying to get a buzz or creating a recognizable brand from going to the shows. If you don't take heed to anything else I've told you, if you have a dog that you think is special, hit as many shows you can, as often as you can. And if you can, get booths, get some literature, get your cards, get everything, find a million different things so that you can have, for people to have ways to contact you. And once again, like I say, if you have any questions, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. I want everybody to get what I got without having to pay what I paid. Yeah.
Big Dawg Shyt Podcast. Podcast with your host, George Tucker. Black Card Bully Cam. The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast. Black Card Bully Cam. The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast with your host, George Tucker.
The Big Dawg Shyt Podcast. Put you up on this dog game.
For more information about Black Card Bully Camp's puppies, adult dogs or studs, give us a call or DM us on Instagram